Hi everyone, welcome back to my Allotment Diaries. My name is Emma, these are my Allotment Diaries. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. I've got some other ways that you can follow me down below as well, so just feel free to click on any of those links and check me out, subscribe. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things I'm going to be sowing in March. Now March is a very exciting month, especially if it is your first garden or allotment plot. You're going to be wanting to sow everything, and on the back of a lot of these seeds packs it does say you can sow from March. What does that mean exactly? Well, not everything can be sown in March. It actually depends on what the weather's doing. They say March because technically that is the beginning of kind of like spring and the growing season, but obviously if it's snowing or if it's particularly rainy and boggy, you're not really going to be able to start your seeds. So you do need to have a look up in the sky and see what it's doing. When it says March, what it really means is consistently kind of dry, fairly sunny kind of weather. Things are looking a little bit growable, and the soil isn't bogged down or covered in snow and frost, basically is what it means, though a light frost is probably still gonna happen. So the seeds where you can directly sow outside usually can tolerate a little bit of frost. It's very tempting just to sow everything, just whack it all in the ground in March. I did that in my first year, most of it died. So do take care and read the seed packet and go a little bit slower, because everything catches up. This is really valuable advice because I completely mucked up my first allotment plot. Really, I got very lucky with it, but I did just whack everything in, and this year I am being a bit more patient. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that I'm going to sow and start this year, and I'm going to say whether I'm going to sow them inside or whether I'm going to whack it straight in the ground. So I'll get straight into it. So you might have seen from my previous videos, if you have watched them, that I have already sown some carrots outside. It's okay to sow carrots outside so long as you are cloching them or covering them with something. Not just because you want it to stay warm for them, but you also want to keep them moist. And somebody told me this, and it's a really good piece of advice. If you lay cloche or something, or felt, or not felt, what's it called? What's that netting stuff called that you use? You know, the stuff that looks like net curtains. Well, that stuff, fleece, that's it, fleece. If you lay it straight on top of the soil when the seeds are in the soil, you will actually keep the carrot seeds moist. So you must keep your carrot seeds moist, because otherwise they will dry out very quickly and just not germinate. So I've done my carrots. I've also done my parsnips, and parsnips is something you can sow now. The only thing I'll say about parsnips is they take a very, very long time to develop. So wherever you sow the seeds directly outside, that's where they're going to have to stay for like pretty much the entire growing season, like the entire year. So make sure you're choosing a good spot for them. Other things I am thinking of growing at the moment: leeks. I'm going to stick my leeks in the ground, but I'm going to wait till the end of March to do my leeks. And the leeks are supposed to be quite easy, and a lot of people, again, they start them at home. I think I'm going to start mine at home actually, and I'm going to sow them in a tray and then prick them out and pot them on basically until they get a bit bigger, and then I'm going to put them out because they've just never worked for me, but I'll give them a go this year. Same thing, I'm going to do celery this year. I love celery. I don't know why I've never grown it before. I've always felt like it's a really hard thing to grow, but apparently it's very, very easy. So this is the celery. I'm doing green sleeves celery, and I'm going to plant this inside. I'm going to do basically in a tray, and then prick them out, pot them on, and then sow them out probably sometime in May. A couple of things that you can do right now. So these things you can just whack in the ground right now outside. Just go for it, just do it. And this is radish. Radish can just go in the ground right now. It might not work, it might work. Try it in a pot, try it anywhere. This radish is Sparkler 3 and it is a really beautiful looking one. I really hope that this one grows. I'm going to whack some of this outside in my allotment plot because it says that you can grow it from February, so I'm assuming if seeds say you can direct sow outside in February, they can probably handle a bit cold. So I'm going to do some radishes. I'm also going to do some lettuce because I always do lettuce in pots and everywhere, and it always grows. Lettuce is just so easy to grow for some reason for me, and I think when you have your own garden or plot, you do figure out what works well for you and what doesn't, and lettuce just pops up like no tomorrow. So I'm going to whack some lettuce in. I am going to sow broccoli again this year. Now this is an autumn cropping broccoli, which means they won't be ready till the autumn time, probably October, November time. It's the green calabrese, so the pretty standard one that you get in the supermarkets, and it needs a really long growing season, so I'm going to start these inside in March. Slugs and snails love broccoli. You must protect broccoli at all costs. The same with cauliflower as well. I'm doing all year round cauliflower, so you can start that at any time in a pot and plant it out when the weather gets going, but slugs and snails, like I said, love them. So just think about protection straight away for those things like eggshells, slug pellet thing, not slug pellets, the wall pellets, anything like that, just to deter them. So broccoli. One of the major things that I'm starting this month, March, is tomatoes. I've got so many varieties here. Now listen, you do not need to sow tomato seeds if you don't want to. You can buy tomato plants in any good garden centre, B&Q, even like at corner shops and stuff. Sometimes they sell tomato plants, believe it or not, and they're so cheap. They're so easy to buy. Just go pick them up, whack them in. I'm growing so many varieties, so I'll really quickly run through the varieties I'm growing this year. I'm growing the first one I can't pronounce. Coeur de Bleu, I think it's called, which is this great big red one. I'm doing the red cherries. Love them on the vine, so lovely. I am doing Burlesque, which is a really big, thick, lovely, chunky tomato. I'm doing Gardener's Delight. This is the best one to start if you are a beginner and you've never grown a tomato before. Do Gardener's Delight. It's the easiest one to grow, and it works every time. And I'm doing the Honeycomb as well, which I did on my first year, and they're all lovely in orange and they taste really, really good. Well, they just taste like a normal tomato, but that's really good. I'm sowing my tomatoes now because they're going to go in a green in my polytunnel. If I was going to sow them outside and they were just going to be outside tomatoes in a pot or in my allotment plot, I would probably sow them end of April, I think. If you've got a polytunnel or greenhouse, you can sow them now, and that's really important, not just because tomatoes like heat and they really need a nice warm temperature to be able to actually grow properly, but also because you want to protect from blight. And the longer a tomato is out in the ground in the open, the more chance it's got of getting blight. Another great thing to sow right now, if you haven't done it already, is sweet peas. They are the most beautiful flowers. Not all of them smell. Did you know that? I actually did not know that. I watched another YouTube video and somebody said these ones don't smell, and I couldn't believe it. The ones that I buy from the shop all smell really gorgeous. Sow them now in pots inside, and snip them off when they get a bit bigger, and they'll go really bushy and really lovely. Or you can just wait a month or two and sow them outside. They're quite hardy plants as well, so they will cope in a bit of frost, a little bit of cold. But yeah, sweet peas are just an amazing thing to grow, and so easy and so impressive as well. When they all grow up, they're so beautiful. Haven't decided what potatoes I'm going to do. If I do an early crop, I'm not going to put them in the ground till the end of March, the very, very end of March. Potatoes are so much fun, and it's so fun digging for them. It's like digging for gold. So if you've got a first allotment plot, they're also really great for breaking up the soil. So if you've got really thick, clayey, rubbish soil and you're like, oh my god, how am I going to grow anything in this? If you sow potatoes, they will actually break up the soil and help you out for next year. So they are a really, really great crop just to whack into the ground. I don't bother chitting them. You can chit them, and that just means you put them on a windowsill until they start to sprout, and then you stick them in the ground. I didn't do that last year, and they all grew into potato plants. So there we go. Best thing that I can ever tell you about starting your first garden or allotment plot is just to whack it in. Literally, whack it in. You never know if it's going to grow or not, and I have broken all the rules with so many things, and it's grown into really, really gorgeous crops and stuff. So don't always listen to the rules, just sometimes you just whack them in and it grows. But yeah, I hope that gives you a little bit of knowledge and insight into what I'm sowing this month. If you are following me along on the Let's Grow a Pumpkin, and we're going to grow our pumpkin arches this year, I'm not going to be sowing my pumpkins until the very end of March. I will give you plenty of notice to join in with my little grow along with me if you're going to do that. If you haven't already, go and get your baby boo seeds and your Jack B. Little seeds, and we will grow a pumpkin together at the very, very end of March, beginning of April-ish. And I hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you out and gave you some ideas of what maybe you can sow in March. and I will see you in my next video, which will be on Friday. See you Friday, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.